We are discussing object-oriented programming, and yesterday we have covered data hiding, abstraction, encapsulation, tightly encapsulated classes, and a bit of each relationship. So this is we have covered. This one is also we have covered a very basic level idea, like we haven't seen any code. Okay, so today we will be talking about has the relationship, method, signature, overloading, and if we got some time, then we'll be discussing about overriding static control flow. All right, so we were talking about user relationship yesterday. What is user relationship? I have given some idea about it. Anybody has any idea? So inheritance is a concept provided by Java. Purpose of using it basically reusability. Reusability of code. For example, we have a class X which 10 method. These 10 methods we can use in our other class. Let's say we have a class Y and we want to use those methods in our Y class. So what we can do is we can say class extends class X extends class Y extends X. So we can write it like this. So whatever we have in this X class, these methods would be available to the Y class. We don't really need to write these 10 methods again here. These 10 method by default will be there. That means we are inheriting properties or methods from the parent. Getting my point? What properties? Instance variables or instance member. Non-static method, right? So whatever we are going to define here would be available for this class when we say extends Y. So we are not going to write these 10 method again. For example, if we want these 10 methods to be present inside this Y class, so then we don't really need to define those methods again here in Y class. We can directly say like class Y extends X, and all the methods that we have here will be available into class Y, like I have shown you yesterday. So I believe there is no doubt in this. If yes, then let me know. I'll try to clarify. No doubt. Okay. So let's take some example and see how we can use this inheritance concept and what are the different questions you might get in interview. So from this perspective, we'll be talking about some examples. For example, we have a class. Let's say we have a class name we are taking as a parent. In this class, we have a method, let's say public void m1, and I'm printing system.out.println m1 from parent. Then we have another class, let's call it child. which is extends parent. So when we say parents, that means this M1 is available for this child class. Okay, now what I'm doing, I'm taking one more method here, public void, let's say M2, and here I'm writing system.out.println, and I'm saying M2 from, let's say, child. So this is the code we have. We have two classes like this and this. And let's assume we have another class, test class. Test we have, or demo we have. In this class, what we have a main method. For example, this is the same main method, with public static void main and string arguments. Let's assume this. And what we are going to do is we are saying, let me take first scenario, parent p is equals to new parent. Okay, I'm writing like this. Then I'm saying p dot m1. I'm trying to call this m1 method. Can we do that, or is there any issue with this?
No.
Yes, no issue. Okay, now I'm writing p dot m2. Can we do that? P dot m2. This is perfectly valid. Is it valid? The second one? Tell me, guys. Instead of typing in chat, you can just say yes or no. We can't access child class method. That is true. We can't access child class method using parent reference. Okay, so this is not valid. The second option we are doing is not valid. Okay, now we have further more scenarios. Let me just add them first, then we'll see. Like this was the case one. Now let me take another case two. So it would be like, we have child object c is equals to new child. Then we are saying c dot m1, c dot m2. So third case we have is, we have object of parent p is equals to new child. Then I'm saying p dot m1, p dot m2 I'm taking. And the fourth case we have is child c is equals to new parent. And then I'm writing c dot m1, c dot m2. Okay, so these are four possible scenarios we can have when we are working with inheritance, right? Okay, so the first one we have discussed. Now let's talk about the second one. Child c is equals to new child. When we say c dot m1 and c dot m2, so let me know if they are valid or not. Tell me, guys.
Anuj?
Yep.
In the second case, they both are valid, C dot M1 and C dot M2, because the child class inherits from parent class. So it can access both the functions, both the methods. And in the third case, P is of type parent. So it can access M1 method, but M2 M2 it M2 I don't know, like this one.
Okay.
But I know that if parent and child are having same type of methods, same name methods, then it will override.
Yeah, we'll talk that later on,
Yeah,
like
that
when
I
we
yeah.
will be
I'm
discussing
not
later
sure
on.
about M2.
Okay. So this is the same problem that we were getting here. Like this was a
Third case
compilation
we can
time error,
access it.
Okay.
undefined method.
Okay.
In third one, we can access, I think, both. We are creating
These
chain.
two are perfectly valid. Like when we are saying C equals to new child C equals to new child. So we can see here, like in this child class, we have this M2 method and M1 is coming from parent. So that's why these two are the valid one. Now let's talk about the third scenario. Here what we have a reference of parent class and the object we have for child class. When we say P dot M1, yes, we have M1 in parent class. This is called type. So what is the type of P? Is parent. Do we have M1 in P or in parent class? Yes, we have. Then it is perfectly valid. Now P dot M2. Do we have M2 method in parent class? No. Then again, it is the same problem. This one, undefined method, or we'll get compilation error saying method M2 cannot find symbol method M2 location class parent. Okay, now let's discuss the last case. Let me know in case you have any doubt with this one and this one.
Here we are creating the object for child, right? In third
Yeah,
one.
child object.
Can't we access the M2 in this?
Yes, but M2 is not visible to parent. If it were like object of child, then or the reference of child, then it is fine. Like you can see in this case, right? But when we are trying to refer or call this method using parent reference, then we are getting undefined method or cannot find symbol. Right. Now we have another case, which is child C is equals to new parent. So this case is itself not valid. We cannot keep a parent object into a child reference.
Right.
Okay. Make a note. We cannot keep parent class object into a child class reference. So we can say when we say new and class name and we call the constructor, that means this is object and this is reference. This one is object. We can keep child object into parent reference, but we cannot keep parent object into child reference. Getting my point? Now quickly, let me code this on my Eclipse and then we'll move to the next topic or next. One second. Can you see my screen? Eclipse screen?
Yes.
Okay. So we have a class called child. Then we have a class called parent. Okay. In this class, we have a method called void M1, which is basically responsible for printing M1 in parent. Okay. And the similar kind of thing we have in class child, but the method name we are using M2 for this example, and 2 in child, and this class extends parent class. Okay. Now let me do one thing. Let me write parent p is equals to new parent, and p dot, you can see like when I say p dot, so we can see only M1, right? M2 is not visible. If I try to write like this, so we are getting error. What is that? Undefined forward type parent. The method name M2 is undefined forward type parent. Like parent class does not know any method with the name M2. That's why we are getting this compilation error. So this is the case one. Case two we have is when we have child, or let me just take the case of the last one, child C is equals to new parent. So here you can see like the first line itself is creating a problem. What is that? Type mismatch cannot convert from parent to child. Getting this point? What does it mean? Like when we say can you see what I'm drawing? Guys, please confirm. Can you see what I'm drawing on my screen?
Yes, Anush.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So we have parent and child. When we say child C is equals to new child, or even we say like this, sorry, parent C equals to new child. This is valid because child we can say is a type of parent, because this is the parent class of this object, isn't it? Yes or no?
Yes.
Or let me take one more example. We have a class person and student. This is the parent class, and I am saying person P is equals to new student. So here from this example we can say this student is a type of person, right? Yes or no? But when we say like this, new parent, and I'm saying child C is equals to this, we cannot say like parent is a type of child. We can only say a class is a subtype of a class when this class extends that particular class. So we can say from this example, child is a subtype or subclass, right? Let me know if any confusion. No confusion? Okay. So when we are saying child C is equals to new parent, we are getting incompatible types. Like we cannot keep parent object in child object, child reference. That's why we are getting this error. Incompatible types cannot convert from parent to child. If you try to run this using the command prompt, then it will say like found parent required child. Okay, So now let's discuss the third case. Third case was child C equals to new child. And we have object name as C. So here these two are perfectly valid. There is no issue. Like earlier we were getting compilation error with M2 when we were saying parent P is equals to new parent. So you can see it is fine. Now I'm saying parent C is equals to new child. Then again we are getting the same error for M2. Like we cannot access M2 method because M2 is not visible to this parent class, right? That's why we are getting undefined for type parent. So any doubt in this? There are 4 kind of scenarios you might get in interview, and you may be asked like what would be the output if we do this, if we do this. Tell me. No doubt. 3 valid, 2 valid, 3 valid. Okay, fine. Now the next thing we are going to discuss is related to this inheritance itself. Like if you take Java example itself, like what is the benefit of Java? Why Java uses inheritance? What is the purpose of using inheritance? How we can take advantage of this? So as I told you, this is the concept introduced in Java for code reusability. And if we go back and check the utility that is provided by Java or the libraries that is already provided by Java are following this inheritance concept very commonly. Let me just take an example. So yesterday we were talking about this object class, right? In this object class there are 11 methods which are basically applicable to all the objects. What I mean by all the objects, let's say we have P class or parent class, we have a child class, we have, let's say, X class. So all these 11 methods would be available to these classes here. Now if we go further deep down, like instead of writing these, I'll take example of Java classes itself first, then we'll move forward. So like we have string class, we have string buffer, we have class called throwable, then we have class called exception, we have class called error. In this class again we have runtime exception, then we have exceptions like array index out of bounds exception. Have we discussed about array? I don't remember actually. We have covered array or not? We'll discuss that later on. Prasanthi, your question will be discussed later on. Let me know one thing. Do we have we covered array concepts earlier? Number format exception. And like null pointer exception. So there are a number of exceptions that is like provided. And if we further move We have concept of IO exceptions, like file not found exception. So these are the classes built by Java itself so that they can use inheritance. So what happens, like what are the methods which are basically related to all the object are kept here in object class, like so that they can be available for all the classes, like whether it is a custom made class or provided by Java. Now let's talk about throwable. So all the methods like which are applicable to exception and error will be kept in this class. Let's say, for example, there are some 10 methods are there. So these 10 methods will be available to this class and this class itself. Now, there are certain methods like which are related to exception class. Let's say there are 20 methods, for example. So these 20 methods will be available to this class as well and this class as well, right? Further, like which are specific to IO exception, let's say there are 10 methods. So basically what they are doing, they are extracting the common features on top level class, then they are going injecting those or inheriting those methods from their parent classes. For example, let me just take you back on Eclipse and we'll show you like how Java have implemented this inheritance concept in their API itself. So we have a class called object first of all. This is the object class we have, right? In this class, you can see there are these number of methods like register, natives, get class, has code equals, clone, toString, notify all, wait, finalize, right? So these are the methods available inside object class. Okay, now let me open throwable. So in this throwable class, we can see what are the methods available in its parent class. What is that parent class? Is object. There are certain methods which are basically related to this throwable itself, like print stack trace, toString. ToString is basically coming from its parent. They are overriding it here. It was there in object class, if you see, and if you go back and see, so toString was there in object class. What they are doing, they are overriding it in throwable class. And there are a number of methods which are available, like you can see here, fill in stack trace, get stack trace element, get stack trace depth, right? And if we further go down, so we'll get exception class. And if we see, this class extends throwable, and here these are the methods. In this class we don't have any method, I think only constructors are there. Yeah, so there is no method in this class. All the methods are basically coming from its parent. Let me just open the error class, for example, or the IO exception class. Here the same thing is here, like all the methods are coming from its parent class. So basically, to reuse a code that we already have written earlier, we are going to use the concept of inheritance. Mamta will not use all the methods, but yes, we'll be using some of the methods, not all. Or I can say most of the methods we will be using, like from object class, we'll be using, so hashcode will be using equals, clone, toString, notify all, wait, finalize. So from this class, except this register natives, I believe we will be using all the methods from this object class itself. Like if we go with throwable, then there are some methods that I haven't used earlier and might be not able to tell you like how we will be using those. So I have worked with this print stack trace, right? And the get message, get localized method, get cost. So that these kind of method we will be using. Okay. Now we'll discuss next thing. So you got the idea like how Java is using inheritance to return, to write its API, like whatever the classes are available in Java, they are also using inheritance on writing those classes, right? Let me know in case you have any doubt. Okay, now let me move further for another example we are going to discuss. So when we say this, this particular case we are talking like we have a parent class and then this parent class is extending by the child class. So this is called single level or single inheritance, we can say. There is a concept of called multi-level inheritance. For example, we have a class called X which is getting extended by class Y. Then we have a class Z which is getting,
Hi, Anush. We're not
yeah.
able to see the screen whiteboard. We were seeing only the
Sorry.
Eclipse.
Let me just share. So can you see it?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, so when we say X is getting extended by class Y, so this is single level inheritance. When we say X getting extended by Y, Z extending class Y, so this will be called multi-level. And it can go much deeper. Like there might be a class, let's say, for example, A, which is getting, which is extending this Z. Okay, so we can go much deeper in this. So this is called basically multi-level. Now there is a concept of multiple inheritance which Java doesn't support. Like we have a class X and we have a class Y. So we have a class called Z which is extending both of the classes. So this is not allowed in Java. For example, if I say class Z extends Y and X, so this is itself a problem. Why? Java doesn't support this. The reason is basically to avoid any kind of ambiguity. What is that? For example, here is we have a method called M1 and here we also have a method called M1, right? Now when we say Z equals to new Z, I'm creating an object of this class with this variable and I'm saying Z dot M. So which one to call? Which M1 we are going to call? So itself there is a confusion. Getting my point? Either to call from X or from Y. So ambiguity is there. Like for this Z, there are two M1. So ambiguity is there. To remove this kind of ambiguity, Java does not support multiple inheritance. Getting my point? Let me know in case you have any doubt. No doubt? Okay. Now some people says like there is a concept of interface, using that we can achieve. Let me discuss that as well. So when we say class, so I'm assuming these X and Y are classes. So when these are classes, then there would be some definition associated to these methods. But when we say interface, let me take interface X. I'm taking an interface X. I'm taking interface Y. Right now we have another interface. Let's say interface Z, which extends X comma Y. Here we have one method M1. Here also we have method M1. In this interfaces, what we have only method name for this time, I would say, or just method signature we have. Like we don't have this parenthesis or the body or implementation. We don't really have in interface, because in an interface, whenever we define a method, that method would be abstract method. What is an abstract method? A method without any implementation or without body. Okay, this is, I'm talking in context of Java 7. There is a new concept came in interfaces in Java 8. So I'm not talking about that. We'll be discussing that later on. So as of now, you can just remember in an interface, there can be only abstract methods. And what is an abstract method? An abstract method is a method without body or implementation. Okay. Now what I'm saying, interface Z extend XY. Now when I say X and Y, so you can see there are two methods, M1 and M1. So there is no ambiguity. Why there is no ambiguity? Because there is no body associated with it, no implementation associated with M1 or this M1. So what we will be doing here, we'll be overriding this M1 and we'll be providing implementation here or the body here. So basically these method M1 or this M1 meant to be implemented later on in its child class, or not even here. Like this is the interface, so we don't really need to define it here. There might be some class later on, like there is a class called X, which is basically implements the Z interface, and Z is inheriting this M1 method from parent interface X, and it is responsible to provide the body here in the class like this, right? But from this point, you can see like there is no code, there is no implementation. So when we talk about inheritance says code reusability, but if you go up here with this method, there is no implementation associated with it. So we can say it's not code reusability. Yes, we can use like this, but this is not called multiple inheritance. Getting my point? We are just using the name. There is nothing else we are using. Let me know in case of any doubt with this example. Okay, now there might be one more confusion here. Let me just clear it once and then I'll talk that
These
way.
are interfaces, right, Anush?
Yes. I'm not going on code level. I'm just telling you
We can
the
extend.
concepts today.
We can Implement or extends here?
When we say interface extends another interface. So like when we are talking both are interface, the parent and child both are interface, then we will be using extends. But when a class and parent is when child is a class and parent is a interface, then we will be using implements.
Okay.
Is that your doubt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it. Yeah, I thought
right.
it. Yeah.
So whenever we are working with interfaces and classes, for example, we have a class, right? Let me write it down.
Yeah, got it.
When child is a class and parent is an interface, we will use implements keyword. Implements. Okay. When parent and child both are class or interface, we will use extends keyword. Okay, like in this example you can see this is also class and this is also class, and we are using extends keyword. Okay.
Hi Anju, this means the same type of between the same types means we can say we can write extends. If it is
We
different
have to
types,
write
we can
and there is no choice.
yeah. Class to
Yeah.
class implementing interface to interface means we have to write extends, and if it is different means class to interface means we have to write implements, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Now let me take one more important concept. Like I have told you in every class or every Java class has a parent of object, right? So for example, I have a class X here, and then we have a child class for this Y. So you might be wondering, like, this is the class X and here is the class Y, right? And this is inheriting features from both the classes, and this is called multiple inheritance, right? Getting my point? So there might be a confusion, like in your interview you might get asked, like, is it multiple inheritance or not? So when we say something like this, so this is not exactly like this. When we say object is a parent of every Java class, so object will not come here in this picture. It would be here, it would be here.
It's like multi-level.
Yes. So like it will not sit here, it will sit here. Object X class will be extending this object. So we don't really need to extend keyword, use extend keyword. Right. And later on, this X will provide all the methods available in object class to this Y class. Getting my point? Let me know in case of any doubt. So when we say, or when interviewer says like this is multiple inheritance and Java is supporting this, no, this is not the case. When we say X, Y extends X, so that means X is itself extending object, and this is not like class Y extends X and object. This is not like this. So this is basically called multi-level inheritance. Getting my point? Should I remove it?
Yes, Anuj, it's clear.
Okay, perfect. Now, next thing is that we have discussed, like why Java does not support multiple inheritance. Can you tell me why does Java doesn't support multiple inheritance?
To avoid
Anybody?
the ambiguity.
Avoid the ambiguity, right? Now let's take one more scenario, like we have a class A extends a class extending to itself, or class A extends B and we have one more class B which extends A. So in this, like A class extends B and B class extends A. So let's discuss this later on. First, let me discuss this. So can you think, is there any use of this? Extend says you will be reusing the code that you have written in A. If we have some 10 methods here, right? To whom we are using this? For itself. Is that meaningful? Yes or no?
No, no.
This is called cyclic inheritance. And this is not allowed. So we don't really need it, because already the purpose or the feature we take advantage is code reusability, or the methods or data members we have defined in class. We want to use them. Already we have this data in a class. So why we are doing this extensive? And similarly, this is again called cyclic inheritance. Like this class is dependent or extending feature from B, and this B is extending from A. Sorry, this was A here. And yesterday we have seen, like when we say new B, when we say new B, so it checks its parents constructor, or it creates object for parents first. We have seen this yesterday, yes or no? Like there is a constructor of A and there are some stuff. Here is a constructor of B. Here it would be a super call, right? And here again it would be a super call, like its parent is B. So when we are saying create object of B, so what will happen? It will go here, it will call super, and then it will go here in the parent constructor, and it will go call super. It will come here, and then this will become a cycle. Getting my point? Yes or no? Like we won't be able to create object if, let's say, Java allows this concept and we try to create object. They will keep asking to each other. Getting my point? B class is saying, I'll create the object of A first, then I'll create myself. A class is saying, I'll create object of B first, then I'll create object of myself. So this is called cyclic inheritance, or from this example, we can say it will create a deadlock itself. If we say like Java allows this concept and we are trying to create object of either of A or B, so it will create a deadlock. It will keep running infinitely, not deadlock. Like deadlock is a different thing. Like in deadlock, what happens? Two process or two separate thread keeps waiting for a resource. So it's not waiting, it's like calling again and again to each other. Okay, does it make sense, guys?
Yes, Anuj.
All right. So cyclic inheritance is not allowed. We'll discuss this in code editor as well. Like we'll be writing this code. Let me take some other examples so that we can move. Okay, so let me just go with Eclipse and we'll write this code over there. So this is the code we have. Like we have a child and then we are extending parent, and this parent basically extends child. So here you can see the hierarchy of the type child is inconsistent we are getting. But if you like try to compile it using command prompt, so it will show that error, which is basically let me share the command prompt once. So this is the class we have, and this is the class. I believe you can see this command prompt screen. Tell me yes or no.
Yes, Anuj.
Okay, fine. Okay, I'm saying Java C star dot Java. Why I'm saying star? Because there are 3 classes, and if let me just show you dir. So when I say dir, there are a number of things. So it might be confusing for you. Like you have all the Java files, so you can see all the Java files are there. There is no class file. Okay. I'm saying Java C star dot Java, but when I say star dot Java, it will compile all the classes, all the Java files which are here. Okay, and create class files. There are some issue with some classes, like there is a class called shuffle or the deck class, which is basically not correct and having some compilation. So I'm working with test1.java. In this test1, when I'm trying to compile it, what I'm getting is cyclic inheritance involving child. So this was the error I was trying to tell you, like cycling inheritance involving child, like it is saying the name of the class itself, right? So that's why I was saying like this cyclic inheritance is not allowed. To discuss it has a relationship. Let me just check once if we have covered all the concepts related to this. Yes, we have covered all the concept related to inheritance. Now we will be discussing has a relation. So has a relation is basically a relation, a loosely coupled relation. Like this was the tightly coupled. Why it was tightly coupled? Why I was saying it is tightly coupled? Like here we have X class with 10 methods, and this Y class just want 2 methods, for example. Only 2 methods they want. But when we say extends, all these 10 are available here from the parent, right? But we want only 2. Then we can go with this has a relationship, or we can say loosely coupled. when we say is a relationship, we use extends, but when we say this has a relationship, we don't really need to use any keyword. For example, we say we have a class employee, and this employee class address, we have discussed the same example yesterday as well. We have address age equals to new address. For example, we have this constructor, and we have some 10 methods, but we want to only use 2. So we can say, like, let's say there are method M1, there are method, let's say M2. So we can call these 2 methods and we can do our work. We are not like injecting all the methods which are available in this address class. Getting my point? We are only using that functionality which we really want. So this kind of relation we can say is has a relationship.
Hello, Anuj.
Yep.
I have
Yep.
a small doubt actually.
Yes, tell me.
If you write extend keywords in the program, is it loaded parent class all the things by seeing that extend keyword, or at the time of creation of object only it will load all the methods and data variables, all those things?
So when you say new y, right, then only it will load the object or the data for x, because when you say y, it is internally calling super. We have seen this, right?
Yeah.
And when we say super, that means a constructor call, and constructor
So,
call is basically related to object creation. Yes, tell me.
so at the compile time, if it see extends, then what it will do actually, then just checking for the parent class.
Sorry, come again.
At the compile time, by compiler will check when it is extends, means what it will do actually.
Compilation time, it will just check if the corresponding class is there in class path or not.
Oh, that's it. Huh?
Yes, but object creation will come into picture at runtime.
Yeah. Okay, just only it will check the parent class is there or not. That's it, right?
Yes, compilation time, it will check if the class file is there or not. And if it is not there, it won't compile.
So parent class must be in the class path.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we are talking about this has a relationship. So has a relationship gives us flexibility. For example, when we say extends, so we are using all the 10 methods, or we are injecting, or we are keeping all the 10 methods which are associated to that X class or that X object. But in case of this address, we just want to use these 2. So what we did, we created an object of this class A, and we just use those functionality. Getting my point? So this is called has a relationship. Like employee has address. Employee has an address, or even like we have seen this earlier as well. I think I took this example earlier, like a student or like person. We can say person has a name, or let's say I have string name here. Student has a name, isn't it? So this is the same thing we are doing from last few days. Okay, now when we talk this has a relationship, so there are a term associated to this, which is association. We can say has a relationship represents association. What is association? Association is means basically associating an object with other object, right? That is called association. So there are two forms of this association. One is composition and one is aggregation. Right? So all these two are the form of association. Now there is a small difference. Let's understand that. What is the difference between composition and aggregation? So let's take an example. For example, we have a university, for example. Right? In this university, we have some department 1, or let me take IT, CS, or let's say this is mechanical, for example. In this university, we have some departments. So we have a class called university, which is having departments, right? Let me write it in code. We have a class called university, which is basically having a list of department. Department is another class. Like this we have. Now, if I say this university is going to close due to some illegal activities, for example, we are going to close this university. So all the department will get closed itself, isn't it? Like if there is no existence of university, there would be any existence of these departments? Tell me yes or no.
Yes, Anuj.
What? I didn't get you.
I said yes, Anuj.
Yes, in context of like, is there any existence of department without university?
No,
No
they won't be
existence.
available. Yeah.
Yes. So for example, university is going to close, all the department will itself going to close or destroy. So this is the object in which we have injected these departments will be called as container object. Container, and these are contained. Contained object. So we can say when a container object is destroying, or whenever we are destroying a container object, contained object is going to destroy itself. That means that kind of relation represents composition, or a strong relation, strongly connected, we can say. Strong relation, we can say. Or we can say these objects, university and departments, are strongly connected. Like if I remove this university, then all the departments will be deleted itself. Now, let's take example of aggregation so that we can differentiate how it is differ from composition. So now let's say we have a department. Again, I'm taking the same kind of example. We have IT, we have CS, we have ME. Okay. So this is basically our contained, all the container. And here we have some professor, for example. We have a class called department. There is some professor associated with this, let's say P1, for example. So for example, I'm going to close this IT department. I'm closing this. So there might be a chance like we can deploy this professor here in CS, or he might get employment some in some other university as well, right? So this is basically not tightly connected, or we can say the relation between this department and professor is a weak relation. Getting my point? Earlier, what was happening? University was a object or container in which we have objects of department, but here the object we have of professor outside the object, not inside the object itself. So we can say it's a loosely coupled relation. Both are both are association, but using this example you can say this is composition and this is aggregation. Like when we will be doing in coding, we will be doing the same thing. Like for this we did this kind of thing, list of department. Here we did the same thing, we have associated professor with this department class. So code wise there is no difference, but concept wise there is a difference. You getting my point? Let me take one more example. We have a class called engine, and we have a class called car. Can you find out the relation between these two classes?
It's a composition.
Composition, because engine will resides inside the car. Okay. There are other examples as well. You can explore Google and find out, but at code level there won't be any difference. Okay. One more thing I would like to tell you. So when you say inheritance, so it will be represented by like this, by this symbol. This symbol represents basically extends, the arrow sign. But when we say like we have this university, for example, and what we have is department. So when it is composition, it will be represented by a filled diamond in a UML diagram or in a diagram. So it will be represented by like this. And when it is aggregation, it will be something like this, empty, like we were talking about department and the professor. Okay. So these are the basic way to represent a relation between two objects. So that was all about as a relationship. Now what next we have is, we have a concept called method signature. We haven't declared method yet. We'll be discussing very soon. I was asking in between, like I have covered arrays or not. I think yes. As I remember, like we have discussed command line arguments. Yes, I think we have covered, but you guys are not telling me. Yes, we have covered that. Okay. So what is method signature? When we define a method, we write something like this. We write access modifier. It can be private. It can be public. default, which we don't really need to write, or protected, right? So this is the access modifier. Then what next we will have? We'll have the return type of the method. Here we will be having return type. This is the syntax I'm writing. Return type would be there. Then there would be method name. Method name. Okay. Then there would be parameter, this parenthesis and parameters or arguments. Then there would be body like this when we define some method. Okay, so return type, again, it can be any data type, void, all the primitive like int, long, and any custom data type as well. What I mean by custom, user defined or the classes provided by Java. For example, let me take an example. Method name can any name or identifier. I can say it identifier, like we have discussed what is an identifier. An identifier is a name of method, a variable, a class, an interface, right? So any valid identifier we can take, and parameter we can take. So from this modifier is optional, and parameters are optional. Okay, but return type and method name should be there, and the body. For example, I want to write a method. For example, I'm taking int sum, int x, int y. You can define your stuff here. Okay, now let me take another example. Let's say void greet, and I'm saying it will take one parameter, let's say that is string, will be passing when we calling this, and it will say system.out.println good morning, and it will print your name with the greeting, for example, right? So this is how we can define a method. Any doubt in this? There are 4 things. Let me write it again if you are not getting it. First would be access modifier, which is optional. Then there would be return type. Then there would be method name. Okay. Then there would be parenthesis and optional parameters. Like in our case, we took parameters int x, int y, and string. Then there would be a definition, or I would say body. So this is how we can define a method. An example I'm going to write again. Let's say void say hello, and your stuff goes here. So this is the return type. This is the name of the method. This part was optional, and this was also optional. So when we are not using any access modifier, it will be treated as default. And what is the scope of default? We can say within the package. In which package we are writing this method. So we will be writing this method somewhere in a class, right? So wherever the class is accessible, we can access this method, right? Or I would say like a class which we haven't declared as public will be accessible only inside the package in which we have declared, and the method will be declared, method will be accessible only in the package where we are declaring or writing it. Okay. Now from this, if we talk about method signature, what is method signature specifically? So method signature would be that part, method name and the parameters. Let's say we have two methods. Let me just go here. Public int calculate int x int y. So from this I can say this is the part which is method signature. So we will be using this term number of times later on. So that's why I'm telling. So method signature basically contains name of the method, and argument types. This xy does not really matters. Argument type, only type matters, like whether they are int, float, char. So from this, let me take the signature. I will say this is not the correct answer, so I'm removing it. So method signature would be look like calculate and int and int. So this is the method signature. Getting my point? This is called method signature. It can be Z here, it can be I here, so it doesn't really matter. What matters is the type, whether it is int, float, double. So from this we can say calculate, and this int is the signature of this method. Okay, let me know if there is any confusion. Now